How this oil helps my leg strength shine every day? Senior care. At 78 years old, I wake up every morning and do something that makes me feel vibrant, energized, and ready to embrace the day. It's not a pill, a miracle supplement, or a trendy injection pushed by celebrities. It's not sold in flashy ads or wrapped in promises of eternal youth. It's something much simpler, much older, and far more powerful than any of that. For years, I believed that feeling tired, stiff, and worn out was just part of aging. I thought it was normal to wake up each day feeling heavier, slower, and more distant from life. My legs ached before I even stepped out of bed. My digestion was fragile, like even a slice of toast could upset me. Some mornings, just speaking took effort. My body moved, but my spirit felt like it was dimming. Then, everything changed thanks to a tiny habit that slipped into my routine almost by accident. A habit so small you'd probably overlook it, but for me, it became a daily ritual that reignited my energy, restored my motivation, and brought me back to life. The secret? A natural oil, paired with a mindful moment of gratitude, that I stumbled upon when I wasn't even looking for it. Since I started this ritual, my mornings feel lighter, my digestion flows more easily, and my joints have stopped making those awful cracking noises. What's even more incredible is that I feel alive again. This hasn't erased my years, but it's brought back something I thought was gone for good, the desire to move, to create, to truly enjoy the little things. Before I share exactly what this ritual is, how it works, and how you can start using it too, I want to ask you something. If there were a small, natural way to feel more alive every morning, wouldn't you want to try it? If you're over 60 or even just feeling like your best days are behind you, this might be one of the most inspiring stories you hear today. So, stay with me, because by the end of this, you may feel more hopeful than you have in years. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This channel is all about real stories, simple habits, and natural ways to feel better every day, especially after 60. Don't miss what's coming next. In this video, I'll share what this ritual is, why it works so well for people like us, and how I make it part of my morning. You'll also learn how to incorporate it into your own life if you're searching for a simple, natural way to boost your energy, support your health, and feel like yourself again without wasting money or dealing with complicated treatments. Disclaimer: I'm not a doctor, and this is not medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your diet or health routine, especially if you have medical conditions or take medications. A mindful morning practice. Before I dive into the heart of this ritual, let me introduce the enhancement that's made it even more powerful for me: a mindful gratitude practice. Each morning, after taking my tablespoon of cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil, I sit quietly for 2 minutes, close my eyes, and reflect on 3 things I'm grateful for. It could be the warmth of my coffee mug, the sound of birds outside, or the fact that I woke up to another day. This small act of mindfulness amplifies the physical benefits of the oil by calming my mind, and setting a positive tone for the day. Studies, like those from the Greater Good Science Center, suggest that gratitude practices can reduce stress, improve mood, and even support physical health by lowering inflammation markers. For me, this combination, oil for my body, gratitude for my spirit, has been a game changer. It's not just about feeling better physically, it's about feeling connected to life again. I'll explain how to weave this into your routine later, but for now, let's go back to where this journey began. When aging felt like losing myself. Before this ritual became part of my life, every morning started with the same dreaded question. How did getting out of bed become this hard? My legs felt like concrete, my knees popped and resisted movement, and my hands had lost the grip strength they once had. Tasks I used to breeze through, tying my shoes, opening a bottle, scribbling a note, became slow, frustrating challenges. On some days, just the thought of walking to the mailbox felt like climbing a mountain. My lower back would throb from simply making the bed, and climbing stairs? Forget it. But the worst part wasn't the physical discomfort. It wasn't the stiffness, the weakness, or the digestive mess I faced after meals: bloating, heaviness, that burning discomfort that made even a simple dinner feel like a mistake. The real weight, the one that nearly crushed me, was the quiet voice in my head that said, "This is just how it is now. You're over 70. What do you expect?" Slowly, I gave in to that voice. I stopped walking as much. I stopped reading at night because my eyes tired too easily. I stopped seeing my friends because I didn't have the energy to show up. What truly broke me wasn't any physical pain, it was the emotional numbness, that quiet grief of watching life happen around me while I sat still, like a spectator in my own story. It was the feeling that a light inside me was fading, and I couldn't stop it. I bounced from doctor to doctor, coming home with more pills, more prescriptions with names I couldn't pronounce. My nightstand looked like a pharmacy, a tablet for joint pain, another for digestion, one for energy, one for sleep. None of them worked. They dulled the symptoms but didn't restore me. I realized I didn't want something to suppress my problems, I needed something to support my body, to help it heal from the inside. I didn't want to fight against my body anymore, I wanted to work with it. A shift in mindset. That's when my mindset began to shift. It wasn't overnight. It started during a simple chat with my daughter over a quiet cup of coffee. She looked me in the eyes and said, "Dad, have you ever thought about changing your habits instead of adding more meds?" She told me how so many people her age were rediscovering ancient remedies, real food, real oils, and the natural wisdom passed down by our grandparents. Remedies that didn't come in shiny boxes but in glass jars and garden soil. Simple ingredients, pure, honest, and time-tested. That small conversation lit a spark. I didn't want to go back to being 30, I just wanted to feel like myself again. That desire, that small, honest longing, was what changed everything. That idea kept echoing in my head for days. Then, almost as if life were nudging me, a neighbor, an older gentleman, probably in his 70s like me, mentioned something that grabbed my attention. He told me in passing that he'd been taking a natural oil every morning, and that it had completely transformed how he felt. He said he had more energy, fewer aches, and, what shocked me the most, he was finally sleeping through the night without tossing and turning. At first, I thought he was exaggerating or maybe just one of those lucky people with perfect genes. But deep down, something sparked. Something inside me said, why not look into it? So, I did. Finding the right oil. I started reading everything I could find. I went down rabbit holes of videos, blogs, and forums made for people like us, folks who don't want to give up on their health just because we've passed a certain age. I joined online groups for older adults exploring natural health. I asked questions, I listened, and slowly, I learned that there wasn't just one magical oil out there, there were many. Some helped with digestion, others were praised for easing inflammation or boosting circulation. Some came from seeds, others from roots, a few even from fruit peels. I ordered several kinds to try. Some did nothing. A few made my stomach churn or left me feeling off. But I kept going. I kept a notebook beside me and documented every single detail, how I felt after taking each one, how long the effects took to show, if there were any changes in my sleep, my energy, or even my mood. Days turned into weeks until, finally, I tried one that didn't upset my stomach. In fact, it made me feel lighter, not in an overwhelming or magical way, but like a fog had started to lift. It was subtle but undeniable. There was a stillness in my mind, a sense of alertness in my body. I could feel something inside quietly saying, yes, this works. That's when I knew I needed to give this a real chance. No more random tests, no more hopping from one thing to another. I chose to commit, to make it a daily part of my life. I didn't know if the results would last, but I figured, what did I have to lose? The power of olive oil. Now, it's time to share the truth, to reveal the oil that changed the course of my days. After weeks of research, trial and error, expert articles, and above all, listening carefully to how my body responded, there was one oil that stood out, the one I now take every single morning. It's not rare, it's not expensive. In fact, it's probably sitting in your kitchen right now, quietly waiting to be used properly. It's cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil. That's it. As simple as it sounds, don't let that simplicity fool you, because chances are, you're not using it the way your body truly needs. Here's what most people don't realize, not all olive oil is the same. In fact, most of what you see on grocery store shelves has already lost much of its nutritional power. The key is choosing one that's both extra virgin and cold-pressed. This process preserves the natural antioxidants, anti-inflammatory compounds, and healthy fats that your body, especially after 60, absolutely craves. Why did I choose this oil over others? Why not something more modern or exotic, like they advertise on TV or social media? Because olive oil has stood the test of time. We're talking centuries, from ancient Greece to modern-day blue zones like Sardinia, Crete, and southern Spain, regions where people regularly live into their 90s and beyond. This oil has been part of their daily diets. It's not a coincidence, it's tradition backed by generations of real-life evidence. Cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil is rich in oleic acid, a monounsaturated fat known to support heart health and improve blood flow. It also contains polyphenols, powerful antioxidants that help fight the aging process at a cellular level. Some studies suggest it may support cognitive health, but I'm not here to make medical claims. Always check with your doctor. For me, as someone who lives it, when I take a spoonful of this oil each morning on an empty stomach, something shifts. My gut feels calmer, the morning bloat fades, and that heaviness in my limbs starts to lift. I'd had olive oil in my kitchen my entire life. I used it for cooking, for salad dressings, sometimes even in marinades, but I'd never thought of it as a health ritual. I never saw it as a daily tool for vitality. That shift in mindset, making it a conscious daily act instead of just a cooking ingredient, was the game changer. How I make it work? Since then, I've explored other oils too: coconut oil, flaxseed oil, even some of the trendy ones like avocado oil. While they each have their benefits, none gave me the same clarity, lightness, and steady energy as extra virgin olive oil. It won its place in my routine not just for what it does but for how accessible and gentle it is. It's affordable, easy to find, and my body welcomed it like an old friend. I turned it into a ritual, not a trend, not a hack, a ritual. Just like brushing my teeth or washing my face, every morning, before breakfast, before coffee. Sometimes even before speaking to anyone, I take 1 tablespoon of cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil. I don't just gulp it down. I found that how you take it makes a difference. I take it on a completely empty stomach, and some mornings, I'll follow it with half a glass of warm water with a few drops of fresh lemon juice. That little combo has done wonders for my digestion and energy levels. It's smooth, it doesn't sit heavy, and it helps my body absorb every last drop of the nutrients. Then, I sit for my 2-minute gratitude practice, reflecting on 3 things that bring me joy or peace. This moment of mindfulness makes the physical act feel like a holistic gift to myself, body, mind, and spirit. I'll be honest, the first few times I took a spoonful of olive oil, I expected it to be unpleasant. Just the idea of swallowing oil seemed strange. But I was wrong. A good quality olive oil, especially when it's cold-pressed and extra virgin, has a surprisingly smooth, almost fruity flavor. It doesn't hit your stomach like something heavy, it goes down clean. Within just a few minutes, I felt something shift. My digestion came alive, the usual bloating I felt every morning started to fade, and I felt lighter, more comfortable in my own skin. Soon, I realized that the energy crashes I used to feel mid-morning, when my body would beg for coffee or sugar, had disappeared. I had a more balanced, steady energy, that carried me through the morning without the roller coaster of highs and lows. For those who can't get used to taking it straight from the spoon, there are gentle, effective ways to include it in your routine. Drizzle it over a slice of whole wheat toast with tomato or avocado. Mix it into plain, unsweetened yogurt with a dash of turmeric. You can even add it to a fresh fruit salad or green smoothie. The important thing is to keep it raw, never cook it. Heat destroys many of its natural compounds, and if you want its true health benefits, frying is not the way. Let this oil be your internal healer, not your cooking oil. Something else I learned is that you don't need a lot. A single tablespoon per day is enough. More doesn't mean better. In fact, if you overdo it, you may feel discomfort, heaviness, or digestive irritation. That's why I keep it simple and consistent. I also avoid mixing it with other supplements right away. I prefer to give it its own moment, just the oil, nothing else, no capsules, no tea, no coffee. I want my body to fully absorb it without distractions. I usually wait 20 to 30 minutes before eating anything else, giving my body space to process it fully. Small changes, big impact over time. This daily ritual, taking 1 tablespoon of cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil followed by a 2-minute gratitude practice, became more than just a morning habit. It transformed into a quiet moment of care, a way to honor my body and mind each day. The changes didn't happen overnight, and they weren't the kind of dramatic miracles you see in commercials. They were gradual, subtle, and deeply personal, like a garden slowly coming back to life after a long winter. But make no mistake, these small shifts added up to something profound. My body began to respond in ways I hadn't expected, and my spirit followed suit. As always, I'm sharing my personal experience, not medical advice. Please consult your doctor before trying this, especially if you have health conditions or take medications. The first change I noticed was in my energy. It wasn't a sudden jolt, like you'd get from a double espresso, nor was it the jittery buzz of caffeine. It was steady, calm, and reliable, a kind of fuel that carried me through the morning without the crashes I used to dread. Before this ritual, I'd hit a wall around 10 a.m., my body begging for a nap or a sugary snack to keep going. But after a few weeks of the oil and gratitude practice, that mid-morning fatigue faded. I could tackle small tasks, sorting mail, watering plants, or writing a grocery list, without feeling like I was running on empty. It was as if my body had found a new rhythm, one that didn't demand constant refueling or leave me exhausted by noon. Then came the transformation in my digestion. For years, I'd lived with discomfort after meals, bloating that made me feel heavy, acid reflux that burned my chest, and irregular bowel movements that left me frustrated. I thought this was just what happened as you aged, that my stomach was destined to protest every bite. But this ritual changed that. The oil seemed to soothe my gut, like a gentle lubricant for a system that had grown sluggish. The bloating eased, the burning sensation after meals became rare, and my digestion felt smoother, more predictable. For someone my age, having a regular, comfortable digestive system again felt like a small miracle. I don't claim the oil cured anything, everyone's body is different, but for me, it was a game changer. What surprised me most, though, was how my joints responded. I'd grown used to the stiffness, the aches, the creaking sounds from my knees every time I stood up. Climbing stairs had become a daily negotiation, and I'd wince getting out of bed, bracing for the pain. I never had a serious diagnosis, just the wear and tear of nearly 8 decades. But slowly, the morning stiffness began to fade. I started getting out of bed without that familiar grimace. My fingers, once stiff and clumsy, moved with more ease. I could tie my shoes without struggling, open jars without asking for help, and walk to the corner store without my knees complaining. One day, I reached the top of the stairs in my building without grabbing the handrail, a small moment that felt massive. It wasn't just physical relief, it was emotional. I was starting to trust my body again. Even my sleep improved, which I hadn't anticipated. I used to lie awake at night, tossing and turning, my mind racing or my body unable to settle. I'd wake up multiple times, never feeling rested, and drag through the day in a fog. But as the weeks passed, my nights grew deeper, quieter. I fell asleep faster, stayed asleep longer, and woke up feeling refreshed, like I'd actually rested, not just passed time in bed. This shift in sleep lifted my mood. I became more patient, less irritable, and found joy in the simple things again, a warm cup of tea, the morning sun, a good conversation. It's hard to describe how a spoonful of oil and a moment of gratitude can ripple into so many parts of your life, but they did. The gratitude practice played a bigger role than I expected. Those 2 minutes each morning, reflecting on 3 things I'm thankful for, gave me a sense of grounding. Some days, I'd focus on big things, like my family's health or a memory of my late wife's laughter. Other days, it was small moments, the smell of fresh bread, the way the light hit my kitchen table. This practice, inspired by research like that from the Greater Good Science Center, didn't just calm my mind, it rewired my perspective. I started noticing the good around me, even on tough days. My mornings felt less like a battle and more like an opportunity. The oil nourished my body, but gratitude nourished my soul, and together, they brought a lightness I hadn't felt in years. Perhaps the most unexpected change was in my mental clarity. For years, I'd felt foggy, like my brain was stuck in low gear. I'd open my eyes in the morning, and though I was awake, my thoughts moved sluggishly. Coffee didn't fix it, and I lived with that slow start every day. I struggled to concentrate, names, dates, and details slipped away. Before I go, I want to leave you with one final question: are you willing to give yourself this gift? Not for me, not for anyone else, for you. Because you deserve it. This ritual, a spoonful of oil, a moment of gratitude, might sound small, but for me, it was the gateway to a better version of myself. A version that's more awake, more joyful, more ready to live each day fully, no matter how many candles are on the cake. It didn't erase my wrinkles or my white hair, but it gave me back something far more valuable: vitality. It restored that quiet conviction that this body is still worth caring for, that this day, right now, still holds meaning. And if that's not real change, I don't know what is. I'm still 78. I still have slow mornings, achy days, and moments when I miss the energy of my youth. But I also have mornings where I wake up and feel alive, where I walk without pain, where I laugh with my grandchildren and write letters that make them smile. I have days where I feel present, where I notice the beauty in a sunrise or the comfort of a warm meal. Those moments, those days, they're worth fighting for. They're worth a spoonful of oil and 2 minutes of gratitude. They're worth you. Thank you for your time, for your trust, for letting me share this moment with you. If you found this story helpful, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. This channel is about real, human stories grounded in experience, stories for people like us who want to live better, not just longer. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. How old are you? Where are you watching from? Have you tried something like this before? Your voice matters, and I'm grateful to be part of this journey with you. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care, and here's to feeling alive again, one morning at a time.